First things first, as always, give us a war cry. Oh,
Huh?
love it. I love it, Matt. Yeah, I love the energy, brother. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a special one, everyone. So before we get started, a special thanks to our audience, the OCS family. Thank you to everyone that is subscribed, and you haven't done so already. Go ahead and like, share, and subscribe now. Your support means the world to us, and it keeps us going strong. Special hug to our sponsors, Battleboard Studios and Baron of Dice. We'll make sure to play 2 commercials today at the appropriate time of both of our sponsors. Special thanks to our family sponsor, Art of War. Be sure to check them out on YouTube for exciting content. Their strategies and insights are invaluable for anyone looking to up their game. Don't forget to check out the new OCS training 12 in 2 weeks, or 1 week rather. We're going to do it a little bit earlier, actually. Pariah Nexus has been exciting, something new. So we want to bring you more live content very soon. So we're going to change habits just slightly. We're going to have special discussions, obviously, about the Pariah Nexus, match play missions, and things like that. We'll have some great and exciting previews and special guests lined up for you, so don't miss it. Today, we have something special from Onslaught Gaming. We've been working on some exclusive content and surprises just for you. Stay tuned as we dive into today's episode and reveal what we have in store. Don't forget to watch the new show called Ops and Rapid Fire Tactics. Ops and Rapid Fire Tactics come out sporadically, sometimes on Friday. I know we're going to do one that's going to drop tomorrow on Saturday as well for Ops. So make sure to stay tuned and watch those. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. Stay updated with our latest episodes and special content. Until then, keep gaming and stay awesome, OCS family. Love you guys very much. And as always, big special thank you, big special hug and love to Mr. Matt from Almost Functional. I can never say you're almost functional functionally.
Yeah, well, that's because you fit in.
Exactly. I think that's by design. I'll be completely honest with you. I think that's by design. I love it, man. So go check him out on YouTube. He has exciting content as well. He does multiple reviews. If he allowed me to, I'll just speak it out a little bit. If not, you know what? Let him break it down to everyone. Let them know exactly what you bring to the audience, Matt.
I'll bring a little bit of everything 40K. Go over codexes, we're going to do some stuff on the cards, go over strategies. We're starting to work on battle reports. The quality of that's still getting worked on. But just basically anything and everything, competitive 40K, we try to cover. If we don't cover it on the show with Lewis, we'll try to cover it on something I do on my channel.
That's right. And that channel is Almost Functional. And yes, to everybody that's looking at me with glasses, yes, I was doing my programming, and today I got some things that I'm creating for the world. I need my reading glasses. So for those of you who are shocked, it's like, oh my gosh, a guy wears glasses. I've never seen him with glasses. These are just reading glasses. I was doing my programming. That's what I do for real life. Me and Matt just do this for fun. 40K is obviously our passion, our love, and everything. So, and to get us started today, we have something special when it comes to breaking down exactly what you need to have as a traveler's guide for going to a Warhammer 40K tournament, right? So while you're driving with your buds, you know, me and Matt were talking about that, reminiscing about the old times before he moved out to Virginia, and how me, him, and David Ozawa always used to be in the car. We break down lists. What else did we used to do, Matt? We used to go to ATC.
We used to correct David on rules for hours while we were driving.
Exactly. Break down lists. David would sit there and try to coordinate. Break the rules, exactly. Coordinate how we basically could pair up against different matchups, things like that. So this is going to be one of those listens, right? So I had a thought a very long time ago. I was in an RTT, and I said, you know, wouldn't it be awesome if we created a show that you can listen to while you're in the car, driving to these events, and giving you and reminding you. Hopefully, you maybe listen to it before, or you grab it if you can on the way there, right? But reminding you of the things that you should do while going to a tournament with your buds and things like that. So get ready. Let's get started. All right. So we're going to present this to you a little bit like this. So preparing for the tournament, specifically a Warhammer 40K tournament. So if you're going to an RTT or a GT, it really doesn't matter. It's kind of the same premise, right? Army preparation, ensure your army list is legal. Models are painted to standard and play test your list. Make sure to always practice before you use your list if you can, right? You want to go into these events, all these new events that are coming up. Everybody's going to be excited to play the new Pariah Nexus. By the way, we're going to tease you with a little bit of cards today, and just 3 of them, just a little tease, but just to kind of help you salivate a little bit, warm you up to the new Pariah Nexus, and so you can see what's in store for you in the future. Make sure to bring necessary documents and materials. Bring printed army lists, rule books, FAQs, and gaming accessories. So if you left your dice behind, make sure to go check out Baron of Dice. He's a sponsor of the show. So go to check out everything that he might have for you. Maybe you can get a quick 1 or 2 day delivery. I don't know. Or maybe you'll see him there as a vendor. Make sure to bring a tape measure. If you forgot your tape measure, try to stop by a Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, whatever. Not trying to promote those stores. They don't sponsor me, but just letting you know exactly what it might be, right? Personal preparation. Make sure you have your books for travel and accommodations are early, right? So book your travels very early. So any of your flights, if you're going to drive with your buds, right, make sure that you have that prepared early. Get your Airbnbs secured. Make sure that you get your flight a little bit early. Accommodations, make sure that you accommodate yourself and your peoples, right? And pack models securely and prioritize comfort and hydration. And we're going to let Matt kind of expand on that and tell him your tips.
Yeah, well, going back to the play test, and that's always a really great thing, especially if the tournament lets you know what the mission and deployments are. Even not just play testing, play or test deploying. How does your army deploy? What angles can people get on you in certain missions early on? Like, have a game plan against most stuff for turns 1 and 2 before you even show up at the tournament. That'll really streamline things for you. And then, bring in your stuff. I always like to have duplicate sets of dice, duplicate tape measures. So if I forget one, I got another. And then if I do remember everything, I have stuff to loan other people. Because many times you get to the table and your opponent's like, oh, I don't have dice or I don't have a tape measure. So you can give them one of your tape measures. You can give them your set of dice that rolls worse. I mean, you can give them one of your set of dice. And then, then when it comes to travel stuff, it's always better to book rooms and transportation early so that places don't fill up.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Matt. All right. So we're going to go into the next one. So you kind of want to expand on this. You already know this. And matter of fact, if you want to tell the people where you're going in a couple of weeks, because you're going to have it just like this.
Yeah, I'm going to ATC, going to as part of a mercenary team. So I got a bunch of Thunderwolves to get finished painted. And they'll be battle ready-ish. I'm not the greatest painter. That's one thing I definitely don't claim.
So make sure to prepare yourself when you go to all of these events, right? Make sure to check in the descriptions, instructions, player packet section of either the BCP, Best Coast Pairing, for those of you who don't know, right? Make sure to go check in there, read through the requirements and what you need. I know at a lot of my events, At the RTT levels, I only require you to prime. Look, I want you to do a little bit of work, okay? Do a little bit of something, show a little bit of effort. At the GT level for my events, I want you to have it 3 colors and based. I know a lot of different events, majors, GW, FLG maybe. I don't want to speak for those individuals, but I want to say they all require battle ready. I know that ATC requires battle ready. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, they are doing battle ready this year. Yep.
Right. So make sure you're battle ready, right? It doesn't take a lot of work if you look at it. And just to zoom in a little bit, right? You could do the classic method of battle ready, which is just regular paint and brush, or you could do the contrast method. So make sure that you're well prepared to go to that event, and every portion that can be painted is painted, right? And base as well. Don't forget basing.
And as a TO, just in case people don't know, what is the main difference between 3 colors and battle ready?
So that's a very gray line, right? And I tell people, and I'm glad that you're asking it out, because I like people to ask me so they don't get surprised when they come to my events. 3 colors is putting in an effort of 3 actual colors of that model. So, for example, on this Primaris Marine, right? You want to have at least the base blue of the armor completely done, the black on the weapon, and the silver components of the magazines, the actual barrel, things like that. If you can do it just like that to that level, I would say that's 3 colors and that level of basing. Or I'm a little bit more lenient, right? I say you can just paint your base. I do not want to see overspray from an airbrush or overpaint from a paintbrush where you were dry brushing it and some of it slapped on your base, right? Like, I don't want to see any of that stuff. That is not showing effort. That is just pure laziness. It is very simple, you know, and I had some guys, I won't mention any names, but I had some guys and ladies at the last GT that I did where they just, you know, dry brushed and had slabs of paint all on the bases. You don't want to do that, right? I told them that I required them to at least paint the base. They went literally to the paint rack, bought some paint, painted it right there. It took them all of 30 seconds, if that, for every single base they had to do, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot of time, doesn't take a lot of effort, right? So,
And they don't say it here, but something I like to do is, if I have multiples of the same unit, paint the ring of their base different colors so that it's easier for everyone to see them. Or as David likes to say, he likes to rim his guys.
He does. He's not lying. David loves to rim his guys. We made fun of him. I think we still make fun of him to this day. That was years ago.
That was a conversation in the car on the way to a tournament. Yeah,
we had the dumbfounded face, like, what did you just say?
Yeah, I paint the lips of the bases on my models. David likes to rim all the guys in his army.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, on to the next one. So, this Joe Koki, I want to say, right? I don't know how to pronounce it entirely correctly. I haven't looked it up, but this is a fantastic travel box. All right. For those of you who do not know, I'll put a link below from Amazon, from their website where they actually carry this. I have 2 of them. They're amazing. They hold an entire 120 orc boys army. Not all boys, but right, 120 models of orcs. So it definitely has enough to hold your entire army. Not only that, it holds 120 orc models. It holds a battle wagon and 3 trucks. Right, so orcs is currently what I'm playing. For those of you who haven't watched for a while, right? I used to play World Eaters. I still play World Eaters. I just don't currently. I like to be loyal to my army. for a very limited amount of time, and that limited amount of time is usually until they get nerfed or a new codex comes out that's better. so this is a great box.
By your army, you have like 6 different factions you included that at different times.
Exactly. So if I ever have a redundancy where 2 codexes drop at the same time, unless it's Harlequins, it's going to be a hard decision. If it's Harlequins trumps everything. So that's my day one. That's my baby. That's everything that I love in 40K. So this is a great box. And also, I want to show you real quick from one of our sponsors, a fantastic battle board, right, that you can take with you while you're transporting, and it's easily can be carried on your flight or put inside your vehicle. It could hold your army too. You're going to have to do some customizing to hold your army as well. But when you get there, you're going to have an awesome display board. So let us pay the bills. Give us 1 second while we do that real quickly. 1 minute.
Turn this into an epic display.
Hey everyone, I'm Lee the 40K Nomad, and this is my battle board in a box. The only display board you are ever going to need, and it will take care of all your armies. Let's open this thing up and show you how it works.
And then choose from the steps or the flat wall section. All display boards come with both options. Want to use the same display for a second or third army? No problem. Change out the picture, change out the insert, add some different terrain, and you're good to go.
All right. It looks like Matt was sleeping.
Resting my back.
That's what happens when you get old. Speaking of which, make sure you're comfortable. Bring yourself pillows, cushions, things for your back, massager when you're old like me, right?
Comfortable shoes.
Specifically, comfortable shoes. I think Max was saying orthopedic, pads in his shoes. I'm not on that level yet, Max. I don't need any of those. I use very expensive Nike Air Maxes, so hopefully they continue to treat my feet right. But I definitely need reading glasses. Never needed reading glasses in my entire life. But anyways, I digress. So going back to the show, hopefully everyone's enjoying this. Like I said, this is going to be a very fun-filled, nostalgic talking. So when you're driving to all of these events, you're flying, you're listening to all this on your earbuds or whatnot, or listening with your buds in the car. So enjoy. So 40K list building concept. Army building. Create a balanced and competitive list. Focusing on synergy between units and maximizing their strengths. Win conditions. Understand the primary and secondary objectives of the tournament missions and tailor your list to achieve them. So I talked about this in an RTT that I went to, right? And I like to give people my wisdom and my experience when I go to these events. I tell people all the time, right? Hey, if there are certain missions that are prepared for that event and the TO leaks those missions or allows you to see them relatively early, practice them. Go out with your friends, go to their spot, go out to your FLG, your friendly local game store. Go there, practice those missions, read the missions, read exactly what you need to do, and get acclimated with that, right? Make sure that you are prepared to go and have fun, most importantly, but also to compete, right? Because everything that we do, we're doing it to compete and have a great time.
Absolutely.
All right, and go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, so especially now with the different attachments, just try to build units that benefit from the attachment rules and stratagems. Like I've been playing the Wolf GL recently. I tried a list that had Ragnar, some Blade Guard, and Logan with some Terminators supporting the Thunderwolves. But every time I ran them in, none of the stratagems really worked on them because they didn't have mounted. So I ended up removing them out of the list and replacing them with other stuff that can benefit from the rules. So just because a unit's good doesn't mean it's good in every detachment, because sometimes it just doesn't get any extra from that detachment. So if you can build units that receive bonuses from the detachment, you're really just multiplying the strength of everything. If you put something in there that doesn't get any bonus, you're really not adding anything into it when other units can actually gain extra benefits.
True indeed. And styles, right? Identified your preferred play style as well. This is something that I talk to people all the time, especially people who are getting new into the game. Tell them all the time, play and tech into your play style, right? That's your strength. If you're a hybrid type of player and you play different types of, and you can play into different types of armies, shooty, a mix of the melee and shooty, or just melee, right? Make sure you put yourself in a position to succeed, right? Make sure that you understand exactly what you're doing. I know a lot of people want to do it for aesthetics, right? That's the first reason. Just like we eat with our eyes, we want to play armies with our eyes, right? You pick an army and you say, oh, I used to watch Aliens as a kid, and playing Tyranids is exactly what I want to do. Tyranids might not be your play style, right? Tyranids, I would say, is closer to an upper level skill cap type of army, right? There are a lot of deceptive type of maneuverings. There's a lot of battle shock shenanigans, things like that, right? They don't hit super hard. They can do close combat, but they're not the greatest at it. They can do shooting, but they're not the greatest at it. They're almost the Space Marine equivalent of a Xenos army, maybe, right? Thomas, don't feel offended, right? But but that's, in my assessment, that's what I would say, right? Like, they're very, very good. And we're going to have a fantastic interview with John Lennon very soon, who won at my GT that I TO'd at. So stay tuned for that, right? And he breaks down how he won with Tyranids and what he used and how he used it to succeed, right? And that's obviously for the Leviathan. So that's going to come out before any of the Pariah Nexus information comes out. But we'll see what the Pariah Nexus does in the upcoming days, right? So make sure you maintain and try to play to your strengths. Play your play style. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, because if I've done this, like I tend to be an aggressive player, but I've played, oh, this list looks really good, and I play it, but it takes more patience, waiting a turn or two, setting up, and I find I'm fighting my natural instincts and desires of things I want to do to play into what the list does. And if you spend half your game fighting your natural instincts, you're not going to play a list to its full potential. So if you like to go from the get-go, find a way to build a list that does that. If you don't like to lose models, if you like to hide in the corners, if you like to, wait for your opponent to make the move and counter them, then don't build an all Thunderwolf or all Death Company Blood Angels that you have to get on the line and go turn one. Just find how you like and naturally play the game and build something that comes into that. And also on that, don't just play to your play style, play to your skill level.
That's right.
Don't necessarily copy a Richard Siegler or John Lennon's list if you've only been playing for 6 months, because there's going to be concepts and synergies and stuff in there that you might not be able to understand how to pull off or when to pull off or what to do. So maybe simplify your list. Don't have as many complicated things. Make it a little more simple, just so you don't have as much to remember and you less mistakes for you to make. And if you're thinking, yeah, but if I build that list, I'm not going to win a tournament. If you're not able to play those armies to the skill level, you're not going to be able to win a tournament anyway.
Absolutely. And Carmelo says he's just chilling, wanting to learn more styles.
No, I think he wants to know about AJ Styles. He wants to talk about wrestling.
Nah, we're not here for that today, Carmelo.
Oh.
Sorry. Nah, that's not what he said, Matt. So
Oh.
to expand on what Matt was saying about styles, right? So try to play things, right, that you might understand a little bit better, right? So, for example, world eaters, like Matt was saying, right? Not about world eaters, but about space wolves. Space wolves are a little bit more aggressive, even though they're space marines. They can be the most balanced of all armies, but space wolves themselves are usually the aggressors, right? They have specific units that can get very aggressive, get in your face very quickly, fight on death with Wolfen, Thunderwolf Cavalry with advancing charges, +1 damage on the charge, a little bit higher toughness. They can do wolf jail, as he likes to call it all the time, and a lot of people call it, right? And lock people in to their deployment zone. World eaters are not like that, right? World eaters are more they want to try to get first turn if you created a mistake on your deployment and positioning, right? They want to catch you off guard. They want to hit you with as many units as possible, specifically Angron, throw Angron in your face because we know that we're going to just try to get him back. They have a very aggressive play style. Not a lot of shooting, unless you're taking some Mauler Fiend or some Forge Fiends rather. What is that clicking?
Sorry, that's my pen.
Nervous twitch.
Fidgeting, yeah.
Exactly. So, right. So, world eaters themselves, they're very aggressive. You can tech them in to do some shooting, but they're not going to be the best at shooting, right? Tau has all the rail guns, has all the spotters, right? Tau is an amazing army, like Metal Beard was saying, right? It's all right. You know, I can say Tau is the best for this 1 second, and then that's it. They're not the best, right? Tau has great shooting. Eldar has amazing shooting as well. Astra Militarum. What else, Matt? What else has good shooting, man? Help out the people.
Votan.
That's right. You play Votan.
Yep, you roll into Marines. You can do some stuff like Iron Hands normally have pretty decent shooting. Who else? I know there's more. I just can't think of it right off the top of my head. But yeah, there's a lot of armies that can tech really hard into shooting, and there's a bunch that can tech really hard into combat, and there's a few that can tech into both very well.
Thousand Suns as well. Thousand Suns.
Thousand Suns. Yep, Grey Knights, Thousand Suns. They're both more mid-table, mid-range shooting, but
yeah,
in the 10th edition mission sets, that's really not necessarily that much detriment. That much of a detriment.
Yeah, I mean, you get hit with that Doom Bolt.
Yeah,
you're not going to say they're not a shooting army. And all those flamers, right? They're amazing shooting army as well. So
yeah, they're just not going to hit you from the other side of the table.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's Guard's going to do that to you, right? Guard that'll hit you on the other side of the table. Some Night Spinners from Eldar.
Yep, Imperial Knights can do it pretty good with
Imperial Knights. Chaos
Towering
Knights.
Or whatever it's called now.
Absolutely. Right. So those are some of the play styles that tech into shooting. For melee, you have orcs, you got world eaters, you got harlequins, you have Black Templar. Black Templar are nasty in melee.
Yeah.
Black Templar, Space Wolves are nasty in melee. What else you got, Matt?
Corn Demons. You already said World Eaters, Orcs. Tyranids can be if
you tech into it, with a bunch of Gene Stealers and stuff like that,
Yep.
So those are just roughly, Carmelo, some of the play styles that you can tech into.
And play styles aren't just aggressive, defensive, balanced, melee, shooty, because you can play elite melee or horde melee. How many models you like to have in your army as well? Do you like to just flood the board where you don't care when you lose a couple models, or do you like running something more like Knights where every single model you have on the table matters. So you can,
right.
so yeah, you got between horde and elite or something more balanced, and then even within that, then you can go shooty, melee, aggressive, because you can be aggressive, shooty, aggressive melee, or even defensive melee, like countercharge melee. So you can take all, like, there's so many different ways to build a style. Like, it's not just one or two. So just play around with it, find what suits you and what you enjoy.
Yeah, no, I agree. There are a lot of different styles, but I think some of them tech into some better than others, right?
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
World
Certain
Eaters,
armies, yep.
yeah, like World Eaters are probably the hardest hitting, most melee orientated,
Yeah.
other than like Orcs army that there
Yep.
is out there, right?
Yep.
You can make an argument for Black Templar and say with their
Custodes are
+1
still
damage,
really good.
Custodes are really good as well. So yeah. All right, moving on out. So wanted to tease you a little bit with some primary missions that are coming out for Pariah Nexus. So the first one is going to be Scorched Earth. So with Scorched Earth, just to get you prepared. So once again, this is a traveler's guide for Warhammer 40K tournaments. We want to make sure that you're prepared and understand a little bit better once you're going to the tournaments what maybe you should do at that event, right? Specifically if they're playing these primary missions, one of them being Scorched Earth. Your shooting phase from a second battle round onwards. So that's when it starts. Units, 1 unit from your army within range of an objective marker that is not within your deployment zone, right? So they can't be in your deployment zone. It completes end of your opponent's next turn or the end of the battle, whichever comes first. If your unit is still within range of the same objective marker and you control that objective marker, all right? So you got to control it all the way at the end or the end of your opponent's next turn.
Yeah.
If completed, that objective marker is burned and removed from the battlefield. All right. So that is your new action. So actions are back, baby. Right. So that is your new action for Scorched Earth. And I love it. This is actually pretty exciting, right?
Yep.
Second battle round onwards, each time the player whose turn it is burns an objective marker, that player scores 5 VP if that objective marker was in no man's land, or 10 VP instead if that objective marker was in their opponent's deployment zone, which is awesome. That's a lot of points, right? So
Yep.
World Eaters want to get into your deployment zone turn 1. So if they can position themselves to get in your deployment zone turn 2 and get those 10 points, that's going to be great for them. And they're going to get up there in VP very, very fast. And you're just going to basically have to kill them all.
Yep. You can't burn
And
the one
then
in your... Oh, go ahead.
second battle round onwards, when end of the command phase or end of your turn, if this is the 5th battle round and you are going second. The player whose turn it is scores 5 VP for each objective marker they control, up to 10 VP per turn. So it's capped at 10, right? Go ahead and expand on that, Matt, while I grab some water.
Yeah, so basically you can get points for up to 2 objectives for just holding them regularly. So if you want to earn more than 10, you're going to have to burn some objectives. But you just be careful thinking about it, because if at the end of your opponent's turn you still control it, you're also going to control it at the start of your command phase. So you'll get the 5 points either way. So the only reason you really want to burn it is you think they're going to take it from you. If you think you're going to keep sitting on it, then you don't want to burn it.
Great point. You heard that, everyone? Great point. Yeah. So if you're taking into this mission, right, take Matt's advice. Do you want to burn it immediately? Maybe your opponent is the aggressive army. Maybe they're the World Eaters and you don't want them to grab it from you. You might want to burn it, right? If you think that you can hold that objective a little bit longer, maybe you're playing Orcs and you have a big mech, which I think big mechs are going to be pretty prevalent coming in to Pariah Nexus after the War Boss and Mega Armor probably gets the nerf back, right? He gives you a 4. The big mech gives you a 4+ invulnerable save for shooting. So you might want to send an objective marker with 6 mega knobs, right?
Yep.
Protect that objective marker and hold it to the end, right? Maybe not. Depends, right? You want to. It's predicated against the opponent and the army that you're playing against.
Yeah, or if you get up early and you don't want them to be able to, if their army is more of a late game army, you don't want them to make points back at the end. Then you start burning the objectives, so they don't have points to come get late game.
Yep. True indeed. True indeed. So next one, Burden of Trust. So for those of you who haven't seen these, I'm glad that we can basically spill the beans. So second battle round onwards. When? End of the command phase or end of your turn. If it is the fifth battle round, you are going second. If you're going second, essentially, all right? So the player whose turn it is scores 4 VP for each objective marker they control that is not within their deployment zone. Then for each objective marker that player controls, they can select 1 unit from their army, excluding aircraft, within range of that objective marker to guard it until the start of your next turn. All right? And then final paragraph, second battle round onwards, when? End of each player's turn, the opponent of the player whose turn it is scores 2 VP for each of their units, excluding battle shock units that are within range of and guarding an objective marker they control. So, Burden of Trust.
Yeah, so you have the potential to score 6 per objective marker each turn. You get 4 on your turn for controlling it. And then if you have the unit guard it and they survive through your opponent's turn and you still control it, you'll gain an additional 2 VP. Now, this does hurt people who do sticky objectives because you won't have anyone on it guarding it, but you can still get the 4 VP.
So you got to decide, like, Scorched Earth, right? Do you want to sticky it, walk away from it, and potentially your opponent take it away from you? Yep. Or do you want to sit there because you have the ability to sit there? Maybe you have 20 Orc Boys or, G-Stealer Cults is dropping a new codex very soon. Do you have the ability to put, some Acolytes on there and sit on it for a very long time with maybe a truck in front of it, right? So, and protect it for you. Maybe you have the bodies. Maybe you don't.
Yes, if you push early and take all 3 center objectives that are in most missions, you could potentially score 18 points.
Which is incredible. You hear that?
It's hard to do, but it's potential. Instead of 15, which is the max now.
Yep.
For most missions.
Which is good. So that means your games are going to be a lot quicker, right? Hopefully you're going to get up in points a lot quicker as well. And
you can affect your opponent's target priority. If you have a unit that necessarily, like a Rhino, that maybe isn't going to do much damage, and your opponent might kind of ignore it, but you have it guarding your objective, well, now they may want to waste shots on it to stop you from getting those 2 VP, which takes shots away from other stuff.
True indeed, Carmelo. Would be nice to do what Custodes of Votann due to high toughness. Yeah. Absolutely. I bought into a Custodes army a long time ago. I actually was gifted by Nick Pratt. Love you. Big heart to him. With Votann, so I have like a little starter box set that I can use to get started with Votann. So I'm going to be doing that in the far future. But I have it. I love that little army with little stumpies on it. I like the idea of driving into Ubers and doing drive-bys. So we'll see. Exactly, Nick. And then the ritual. So the ritual has changed, and I love it for Pariah Nexus. So when setting up on the battlefield, remove all objective markers in no man's land except for the one closest to the center of the battlefield. The ritual has an action. Starts in your shooting phase. The units you can use it on, 1 unit from your army. It completes at the end of your turn. So that continues to be the same, where it completes at the end of your turn, which I really, really love. I love those primary missions where they complete at the end of your turn instead of your opponent's turn, things like that.
Yeah.
So if completed, set up some objective markers anywhere in the battlefield wholly within no man's land and within 1 inch of your unit, provided it can be set up exactly 12 inches from one other objective marker within no man's land and not within 6 inches of any other objective marker.
Yeah, so they're
And
much more restrictive on
yes,
how many of these you can put out now.
they are. And I like that. It got really
absolutely.
wonky before.
No, it could get really crazy
wonky
before. Yep.
Yeah, it got really crazy, a lot of questions, things like that. So, and then from the second battle round onwards, when can this be done? End of the command phase or at the end of your turn if it is the 5th battle round and you are going second.
Yep.
The player whose turn it is scores 5 VP for each objective marker in no man's land that they control, up to 15 VP per turn.
Yep.
Which is great.
Yeah, that's really good.
Really, really good. 15 VP. Oh, yeah. Get that clutch VP in very fast. I like this mission. I actually like this one very much. Which one is your favorite out of the 3 that we're kind of previewing today, Matt?
Oh, I would say probably the Burden of Trust.
Burden of Trust is very nice.
Yeah, it doesn't so much rely on you doing actions to do stuff.
Correct.
Yeah. I like when the mission's a little more straightforward and you can just the tactics can get complicated, not necessarily just weird mission rules.
Yeah, the ritual is just nostalgic to me, I guess, because we've had it before, right? I like that
it's
one.
Fun. I just like Burden of Trust better.
No, absolutely. And the type of army that you're playing too, right? I totally get it. You have a very elite, semi-hordish type of army with Space Wolves. You really don't want any units sitting in your back 40 just doing actions and being inactive, right? I have units that can do that currently with orcs, right? I can do that with correction.
Well, I have the one infiltrator squad with the Phobos librarian you can't even target, so they could easily walk up and burn some objectives before you can get through the wolves.
There you go. But you're limited, right? You got one unit. Like I have.
Well, I got scouts. I got units in there that can do stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I got a couple of units too with the orcs currently, right? Yeah. Gretchen, some orc boys. Maybe I don't want them doing some things, a 10-man unit, things like that. To do some actions if I need to, right? And you're going to run into it anyway. So when you're going into these tournaments, you might end up getting a spread of all 3 of these in the future, right?
Absolutely.
So make sure you bring things that you need. Any battle line, right? Battle line is going to be pretty important. Burden of Trust, huh, Carmelo? Bug Supremacy for Mr. Elite. Might bust out Votan for these. Yeah, true indeed. Votan might be in a better position for these, Carmelo.
Yeah, Votan. Like they're a little vanilla in the flavor, but they definitely can play the missions well.
Carmelo also says too, would it be nice to pull off the new Votan infiltrators once they get rules? That would be nice.
Yeah, once they get a codex and hopefully add a little more flavor back to the army. I really like Votan. I got mine sitting over here on the shelf.
They were oppressive when they first came out. I remember I played against you, Matt. They were oppressive. Oh my gosh.
No, they would have been. They got nerfed before the book even hit because people were crying about them. They weren't that oppressive. They would have been if they hadn't got hit pre. I beat you so bad with any army, you think they're all oppressive.
Lies. But anyways, these are the previews of 3 of the primary missions. If you want to go watch more of them, stay tuned for tactical rapid fire tactics. Tomorrow it's going to drop. I'm going to preview a lot of them, all of the deployments, all of the primary missions, and all of the mission rules. So stay tuned for that. Going on to the next one, baby. So, choosing your mode of transportation, right? Research airline policies for model transport or ensure models are secure for road trips. Like we were showing you, right? Make sure that you make your model secure, right? If you have to magnetize them into the Jokoi box, whatever it's called, right? Or if you have battle foam, make sure they're secure in there. Make sure that the people on the flight are not just throwing your battle foam box all over the place and destroying your models. most of the time, if not all of the time, I carry it on with me. So that's my only carry-on, because that's more valuable than everything else that I'm taking with me potentially, other than my PC, right? So I usually take it as a carry-on, and if I bring my PC, I just put it in a little booklet for my PC. So I try to stuff both of them into the same bag.
And what I've been doing is I'll carry bring the army on as the carry-on I put up top, and then I'll bring my laptop in its case as my personal that I'll put under the seat right in front of me.
Or there you go. Yeah. And then you can use it on your flight as well, and make sure that and then you can watch us, right? While
That's
you're
true.
on that. Yeah. So then you can watch this and listen to this and get you a little bit more prepared, right? Accommodations, stay close to the venue is, most possible when you can, and choose places with amenities like breakfast and gaming areas. Yeah, I know. All of this sounds very cliche, sounds like commonality, right? Common things that you should already know. But a lot of people forget this, right? A lot of people say, wow, I really should have looked into an Airbnb next to the venue if the venue is not already in, or the event's not already in a hotel or something like that, right? So try to accommodate you and your pals, right? You and your family, whoever you're going out there with. Make sure you do the best for your bottom dollar, right? Take care of yourself. Obviously, these events are expensive. I know. I run a lot of them. It's one of the biggest things when I do one of my marketing pitches is that, free parking or, lounges with bar areas, things like that. Just make sure that you get what you need to get and your dollar's worth out of those events, right? Navigating the tournament venue, familiarize yourself with the venue layout and explore local attractions during downtime. Yeah. So try to, once you get there, try to see the eateries around the location. Try to see if there's a store, if you're a smoker or drinker or whatever it might be, right? Make sure that those stores or locations are close to the venue so you can easily walk to them. Maybe you forgot your tape measure, right? You might have to Google an Ace hardware store for a tape measure. Just make sure to prepare yourself. Everything matters at the end of the day. That way, you have no anxiety, no stress going into these games, right? The last thing you want to think about is, oh man, I forgot about this. I forgot to secure my miniatures, and now I have to glue 100 orc boys, right? Because it was tossed around in the airplane. Or you didn't secure it properly in the trunk of the car or something like that, right? And they just slid around in your Jokoi box. You didn't have magnets in the bottom, and now you just have a bunch of broken pieces all over the place, right? Make sure you set yourself up for success, right? Remember all of these tips and tricks and try to do your best. All right, on to the next one. So this is what it looks like to actually go to an event. I know a lot of you have actually been to events and have seen this, all right? But this is an all-comers guide, traveler's guide, right? So just in case you haven't actually been to an event, this is what it looks like. This was actually a 3-man or 3-person team event that I put together with a bunch of my friends because I wanted to show unity in the tournament organizing community. So I had myself and Todd from Dice, Death, and Robots, and also Chris Johnson from Huckleberry, all TO at this location. They were all helping out, either judging, facilitating, questions, things like that. One of the most important things, right? And you want to go into these games with some great game etiquette. Don't be a douchebag, right? Nobody likes it. I'm a TO. Nobody likes douchebags. Nobody likes arguing with the TO. At my events that are solely mine, right? If you argue with me, I'm probably DQing you. I'll be honest with you, right? And that's not a threat. That's just to let you know that you shouldn't be arguing with the tournament organizer. That's like going to someone's house and arguing about what food they made for the night. because you don't like it or because you didn't explain to them that you're a vegetarian and you can't eat what they're eating, right? Set yourself up for success, right? Make sure that you treat your opponents with respect and maintain a clean play area, right? Alleviate all that stress. Make sure you're cool. You're there to have a good time. You're obviously there to compete, right? Everybody wants to win at Warhammer 40K. We get it. We understand it. I want to win too. It's no different from anybody. If people tell you they're playing casually, it's a lie. They're just trying to tell you something so you can be soft on them or to take it easy on them. But that also doesn't mean to be a douchebag and just ream them and then treat them like crap and tell them how much better you are than them in the actual game, right?
Yep.
Timeliness, right? Arrive early and be mindful of round timers. So this is very, very important. You kind of want to expand on this, Matt?
Yeah. So just expanding on all of it, just you always treat your opponents with respect. They're there for the same reasons as you. And if you have rules interactions that you know are questionable, check with the TO and have a clear ruling on that before you get to your tables, and let your opponent know, like, hey, this is something that people can test. I've talked to the TO and they've agreed they're ruling it this way for this round or for this tournament, so that you can avoid feel bads or arguments later on when that interaction that you already know is an issue comes up. Don't try to sneak it under the TO because you're worried he's not going to rule it the way you want it to be played and end up in a situation. And then you always try to keep your area clean. If you have reserves, make them clearly visible where they are so you don't forget them, so your opponent can see them. You never want. So
what about arriving early and mindful of round timers?
Yeah, you always want to be there early and have your army set up because you don't want to lose playtime trying to get your army ready, trying to figure out where your table is, anything like that. And yeah, you always want to know when the round is. Are you on time to finish the game on time? Do you need to ask the judge for a clock? Do you need to talk to your opponent about what's going to happen if you're not going to get past turn 3 or 4? That's definitely stuff you need to be keeping an eye on. And if you notice your opponent is slow playing, either just because they have a slow army or they don't seem to know the rules, then you may want to ask for a clock, just because that can end in real bad feel bads if you don't get all your turns in when you've only played an hour out of the 3-hour round.
But a couple of things, right? Most people know that I have a certain disdain, if for lack of other words, right? For the clock. Yep. Don't weaponize the clock, right? Nope. Don't use the clock to use it against your army because you see a horde army, right? Give them the opportunity to kind of break down the minutes to them, let them know exactly how much time they should be using per round, per deployment, per setup, per talking about their units and things like that. If you see at that point in time that there is an issue, that's when I like to tell people to start using the clock. If you start seeing your opponent, and some people are going to say, oh, it's maybe too late at that point. No, if you're very friendly with your opponent, remind them. If you start getting over in time more than like 5 or 10 minutes and you're getting a little antsy, call over a judge. It's very simple for a judge to come over and adjudicate the entire situation. It takes away the responsibility on you. It takes away the dickishness away from you, so people are not looking at you like you're trying to weaponize something or you're trying to just be an ass about the whole situation, right? Let the judge do what they're there to do, right? Let them come over, and if you ask them for a clock and you both agree on a clock, and they're like, yeah, I might be taking a little bit of more time, then bring a clock in, right? And that's fine. Clocks are not bad. It's just like everything else is in life, right? When you use it for bad intent or to be nefarious, right? It has the worst feelings in the world. I've been to ATC with Matt, and people have put me on clocks just because they see me with an orcs army, right? It's the worst feeling in the world. I still play my game. I still play my game effectively, but people only use it to weaponize it, right? And then it becomes a very unfriendly game. I don't want to play a good interaction with you in this game because you're doing something intentionally just so you can win because you're only here for the win. That's exactly what that tells me, right? I don't play these games. If anybody's ever, seen me or played against me in these games, I don't play these games to play for the win, right? I play it for the interaction, and we play it together, not against each other, right?
Yeah, but on the other hand, if you have had experience before with 90% of the times I play an orc player, we only get 3 to 4 turns in. I'd like to play on the clock because I'd like to play a full game. That's not necessarily nefarious or trying to get your opponent, but it's trying to make them play within the parameters of what is set up for the tournament. Like if you bring an army that you can't play within a 3-hour round and get 5 turns in, then if someone puts you on a clock, that's your fault.
Exactly. And, clearly communicate actions and resolve disputes with the help of a judge, right?
Absolutely.
It is your responsibility to keep track of the timer. If you know you're not going first, right? And they go into the command phase and the movement phase and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you see that they're taking more than the allotted amount of time for that round, call a judge over, right? But like, hey, we might need some interactions here, right? We might need a clock. Make it very smooth and seamless process for you, right? Don't make it hard for yourself. If both players, so Carmelo asked if both players are okay with playing in extended time. Well, there is no extended time unless you're playing at a friendly game, like at a store where it's just a friendly game, not an actual tournament, or you're playing at a Games Workshop event, an actual open, right? GW, which I love very much, for those of you who don't know, I'm a GW employee. I do judging. They are actually amazing. I love it. But obviously they have a multi-billion-dollar industry company that has the ability to put a lot of staff members to sit around for a 4-hour round and watch these games throughout. A little bit of different at my events. I never like to go below 3 hours per round at my events. A lot of times I do allow people to an extended amount of time, but most events, Carmelo, most nowadays, because of store restrictions, and this is a lot of background political bullshit that I just want to kind of explain to you guys as well, right? A lot of venue locations, because they have a closing time or because for other reasons, maybe the TO just doesn't want to be there that long, right? Whatever it might be. A lot of events nowadays are only doing like 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45-minute rounds. In my opinion, right, and nothing against them and those people who are doing their thing. In my opinion, that's not long enough time to play 40K. It really isn't. If you've ever played with your friend, which all of us should have, right, unless you're brand new to the game. My games with Matt, when we played, just friendly games, would take 4 hours sometimes. My games with David would take 4 hours sometimes. Just sitting there laughing, trying to figure things out, kind of, talk about strategies and tactics within the game. Like, it takes time, right? I think 3 hours is the appropriate amount of time, for a minimum. But unless you're going to an open, everything is on a timer, right? GW is the only place where you're allowed an extended amount of time to play.
Yep.
So, Xenos and Blood Angels, Space Marines, right? Be friendly, man. Just be friendly. And it's really important, too. Remember, a lot of these events, specifically at my events, right? There's a lot of events that do best sportsmanship, best sports. So specifically at my events, I like to encourage people to do best sport. So I prize them out, usually prize them out at $100 each participant, right? Which is either store credit or cash. Grand Onslaught 8, which is a grand tournament that's coming out in Hudson very soon, right? In about 2 months from now. It's going to be August 10th to the August 10th and the 11th. It's going to be a 60 participant GT that I'm running, right? I'm going to do a lot of prizes, and it's going to be a cash prize out, right? So you're going to get actual cash money, right, at this event. Best sport is going to be one of those individuals that gets a lot of cash. Go ahead, Matt. Read this one off.
All right. So 5 useful resources. Online communities. Engage with forums, social media groups, and YouTube channels for updates and tips. Apps and tools. Use army building and timer apps. Official resources. Check the Games Workshop website and tournament organizers for rule updates and event details. So anytime you can find online groups that play your same army or the same mission packs, it's very good for getting tips and tricks. Just don't take everything you find online as gospel. Everybody has lots of varying opinions on stuff. I can't hear you, Lewis. I don't know if you're muted or not.
And like Matt said earlier, he brought up a very good point, right? If you go to those events and you went with a net list that was built by somebody else, right? It might not be super effective for you, right?
Yep.
So be cautious of that as well, just like he was saying, just to kind of expand on his thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tools, make sure that you're using GW at my events. I know a lot of YouTubers. I know a lot of people like to use Battlescribe and things like that. I've seen notoriously that Battlescribe, for a multitude of reasons that Matt has mentioned before, first, it can be manipulated, so I don't like that.
Yep.
Second off, it has incorrect information or inaccurate information a lot of times, right? I was just watching somebody on YouTube who does an orc channel putting up a Battlescribe army list, and they had inaccurate points, over in points. Thank goodness it wasn't under in points, but it was over in points for knobs, right? Knob units were not that expensive. They were charging like $120 for five boys of knobs and orcs, right? They're not really that expensive.
Nope.
So be careful. If you're using Battlescribe, I don't disallow it. I just prefer for you to use the GW app because it's more concise. And at least if worse comes to worse, right, we have someone to blame at Games Workshop and be like, hey, Games Workshop, like, you really messed up this event because you had inaccurate information and people weren't able to play appropriately. They'll probably come back and be like, well, everybody needs to check their codexes, the MFM, things like that, which you should, right? It is still your responsibility. Just because you're using a army list builder that has all the points included or whatnot does not mean that you are not responsible to double check all that stuff, right? You should make sure that it has everything on it. Especially like me, I've made this mistake before, and I continue to do these mistakes every once in a while. A good mistake, right? I'll forget to put bomb squigs on Squig Hog boys for my orcs, right? And I'm like, and just the TO in me, the integrity that I have, right? I won't actually use that. Even if my opponent says, oh, that's fine, it's a free war gear. I'll make sure that basically I handicap myself to teach myself, hey, I need to look for that next time, right? I need to double check, triple check my list, make sure that I have all the war gear, all the equipment that I'm supposed to have to make me more successful.
Absolutely.
Right?
But yeah, you always want to make sure you have everything you need and the latest FAQs, the latest army updates, the latest points. And yeah, GW's app is the best place to do it because they have, unlike some of their previous apps, they do a really good job of keeping them up to date right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're listening to this while you're on your flight, while you're driving, right, make sure to double check your list, right? Yep. Hopefully the time for submission, for list submission, right, isn't too late. If it is, then you might have to take a yellow card or a 10-point deduction or just play what you have, right?
Yep.
If you don't have your bomb squigs in there, or if you forgot to take a particular war gear, you forgot to take a particular enhancement, right? That you know that you take all the time, and you just forgot to click that button or add it into
Yep,
there.
that's right.
You might have to just play down for that one.
All right.
All right. So these are the applications. Make sure to go check out Tabletop Battles app. It is a fantastic application. I use it all the time. I know there's others out there. I couldn't get into it as well as others could, but Tabletop Battle Apps has a lot of information and a little bit of a wink, wink. On Friday, it will be updated, but you did not hear that from me. All right. Also, I'm going to show you some resources. There are places like, for those of you who like to say, oh, I don't have your army's information, so I couldn't play against you or with you appropriately. Yes, you do. All you have to do is ask somebody, right? Ask me, message me, send me a comment, right? Hey, Lewis, how can I get better in this area? How can I get more information, resources for this area? There is a website called 39K Pro, okay? That is 39K, kilo for K, dot pro. So it's P Papa, R Romeo, O for Oscar. Check that out, all right? It has everything on it that you need, all right?
Mm-hmm.
All of these places that I'm talking about do not promote me, they do not pay me. These are just resources that I like to share with my community. I'm all about the community. I love the community. I want to provide you with what you need. This is why I'm doing this video with Matt, right? I want to provide you, even though it might seem tedious, it might seem boring to some people, you might listen to this an entire hour's worth of information. And one thing I mention on here, or Matt mentions on here, and you're like, oh, I should have thought of that, right? It's worth it. It's worth that hour plus of listening just to remember that one thing that you might have forgotten, right? So it's important. Listen to the resources, right? Take all the resources that you can. If you can't afford all of the codexes, I completely understand you, right? You're not a mad person like me who just likes to buy all the codexes and has them all the time because I need them as a resource for what I do as a tournament organizer / head judge, right? But there are other free resources out there, just like watching this YouTube channel on Onslaught Gaming 40K, right? This is a free resource to you where you can listen to us and we'll let you know exactly what might be helpful for you, right? 39K.pro, 39K Pro, all right? That has all of the factions, all of the detachments, everything. I think they update it all the time. I don't know. Like I said, I have other resources that I use, but I tell the community, I research these things so I can better help you and assist you, all right? So in conclusion to everything, my peoples, proper preparation, right? Always have a positive attitude. Good etiquette will enhance your tournament experience and help you build connections in the Warhammer community. So ultimately, and we're going to get it in close over here, okay? Because I want you to see me. You go to Warhammer 40K events to build relationships, right? Maybe help you expand, build, and enhance your YouTube channel, right? Go there for those opportunities. Build those relationships, right? Build those friendships ultimately, but make it a genuine one, right? Because people that do know me personally, I hate fake people, right? So be genuine about the situation. If you ever see me out in public, be genuine, be real, be yourself. I don't want you to be anyone else other than being yourself. And that's how you should approach all of these tournaments. Go in there with a great mentality. If you're having an off weekend, you had some difficulties with a girlfriend, a wife, work, whatever it might be, right? Try to clear your head. Take a couple of minutes before you go into that tournament. Go in there with a great positive attitude, and you might be surprised, though you'll win a lot more games with that type of attitude. I promise you, I've done it before. I've been to places where I'm completely upset. Now I'm not focusing. I'm not understanding what I need to do, right? So I'm not thinking about all of the tactics. Feed the TO.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. You want this to be reciprocal, right? If you can, right, tell the TO, hey, I know I have a very good community member that likes to give me Starburst all the time. He likes to say that he uses it as a way of persuasion and to basically buy me out into certain things. It doesn't, right? For the record, it's on here live, right? It doesn't buy me out, but what it does do, it shows me that he's a great individual, right? That he's a sharing individual, and that he's probably going to go in his games and show that same appreciation and share with his candy too to those individuals. Yeah, bribe the TO with a new army. Now that, now that might get you podium. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Of course.
Yeah,
no,
Lewis has always wanted 1,000 Suns army, just so you guys know.
you son of a gun, you. You know what? If someone sends me 1,000 Suns army, I would cherish it, I would love it, and I would appreciate it. Because the only thing that I like in 1,000 Suns is the aesthetics. The Egyptian theme, I love it. There's a lot of custom things out there that are pretty awesome. Yeah,
Carmelo likes to hang out with some guy named Luis.
I don't know who that guy is.
Yeah, I never heard of Luis. He sounds French.
But yeah, Matt, is there anything you want to kind of expand on, kind of talk about?
No, just prep well, go to have fun more than win, and just treat people the way you want to be treated.
Absolutely. Be yourself. Be the best person that you can be.
Well, it depends on who you are. If you're being respect to your opponent, some people can't be who they can be.
Well, that's why you shouldn't play. If not, and that's my event that I'm running, that I'm going to come over and I'm going to let them know, right? Like, just be a better person.
Oh, and don't whine about everything. Don't be a Dirk. I mean, don't be a... I love you, Dirk. I don't know if Dirk even watches these. I haven't seen Dirk in forever.
No, I don't even think he plays the game.
I miss Dirk. Dirk was good people, though.
Yeah, he's great people. Carmelo says, I'm scared of being myself. Nah, man, you're fine. You're fine. I've met you in real life, right? You're great people. Just take a melatonin. Read in between the lines, right? Take a melatonin. Take something to relax you. If alcohol relaxes you and makes you more gullible and friendly, and you can still concentrate in the game, right? And you're of age, of course, right? Then do it. Whatever it might be. Whatever you got to do, right? Make sure you enjoy yourself. And hopefully you've listened to this on your way to going to these tournaments. You're having a wonderful time with your friends. Enjoy. Hopefully all of you win it, right? Hit a podium, 1, 2, 3, 4, or however many you have in the vehicle. Enjoy yourself. If you're listening to this on a flight all by yourself, hopefully you win first place. All right. And if anything, worst comes to worst, hopefully you get best sport, some prizes, and most importantly, you start building some Warhammer 40K relationships. All right. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Love you very much. As always, make sure to watch OCS, Ops, Rapid Fire Tactics, and also Almost Functional. Make sure to always subscribe, like, share. Big love, big hugs to everyone. I'll tell you what, I'll never forget getting first place at my first tournament with you. True indeed. True indeed. And I'm glad that that'll be memorable to you, as it will be memorable to me as well. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy your event. Take care.